space lasers, massive amounts of explosions, and the fastest way to farm up XP in the game with the proper build to make it incredibly efficient is what we're going to be going over today in Borderlands 4. This has been my favorite combination of grenades, weapons, and shields so far in the game, and especially playing as Eamon has been incredibly overpowered. But you can use this with any class, and it should drastically increase your farming speed pretty much anywhere, regardless if you're farming for XP or farming bosses. Now, I'm sure all of you probably know about this farming site already. This is a drill site that you can go to that has incredibly high mob density and 3 bosses that you can kill, and so far, after all of my testing, is the fastest way to be able to level. Unfortunately, I think it's incredibly boring, and I hate that it is in fact the fastest way to level, but if you really want the fastest way, this is it. Now, I know this has been talked about since day one. I don't know who the original creator was for finding this particular site, but it did focus on building an amazing combination of weapons and items to be able to farm this incredibly fast. Essentially, you want to be able to do this as quick as possible, and the faster you can kill all the mobs in the waves, the sooner you'll be able to spawn the 3 bosses, which means the faster you'll be able to actually refresh the event to keep running it as quick as possible. Now, this drill site you can access early in the game, but I wouldn't really recommend farming XP here until you beat the story, because you're going to be leveling up plenty well throughout the story, and you should be doing your side quests and stuff too. This is going to come in really handy when you're leveling your main character to level 50 or leveling alt characters. Now, to be able to get to this drill site, you're going to want to go to Someday Rise, and then you're just going to follow this road all the way south to the Foundry Freaks. This works exactly like every other Encore. You activate this, and then you're going to have to defeat a couple waves of enemies before the bosses do spawn. Sometimes the waves of enemies spawn a little bit faster, and they're a little bit more condensed than other waves. It doesn't happen very often with the low mob density, but the bosses will spawn in the very back here. And what I like to do is I like to use my space lasers. Once this guy jumps, I'll drop a space laser on top of him. The second guy will sometimes run directly into that as well. If he doesn't, then what I'll do is I'll take out my second space laser, and then I'll just drop this on him back here. Hopefully the other guy will run into it too. Usually you can get a 2-for-1 special, and to be able to kill them both very, very easily. If you do that, you just kind of loop around them with your space lasers or any other big damaging weapon that you have, and you can just wipe them out in seconds. Now, you can finish clearing out these guys if you want, because there is a lot of good mob density after you defeat the bosses here, but you don't usually have to. I wish they would stay spawned, because it would really help speed things up if they did stay spawned, but then you just got to run back, repop it, and rinse and repeat. Now, I do have 3 to 4 different pieces of gear that I run to make this incredibly efficient, and the first one of which is going to be the Barrage Tunnel Vision Fireworks. This is the best shield in Borderlands 4, and it has been carrying me through the entire game, and I don't see that ever stopping. This shield alone, after killing 1 mob, can wipe out an entire pack, all on its own without you even having to look at them. This is the Barrage Tunnel Vision Fireworks. This has the weapon attachment called Bundled, which on kill spawns missiles that home in on nearby enemies and deal 3,141 damage each. Obviously, that damage scales up the higher level you get, and from what I've seen, it shoots out about 3 missiles that home in on nearby enemies, but also on ones that are pretty far away too. And depending on your build, you can drastically increase the damage of these missiles, making them incredibly devastating. And the best part about it is you can farm this early in the game from Splash Zone. If you go to the Stockroom fast travel point, you can just jump down to this location here and glide directly to the boss and be able to farm it to your heart's content to get the best shield in the game. Now, the reason this is so handy is because, especially in this particular area, killing things as quick as possible without even having to touch them just like that is so quick. You can see all the XP I'm getting just from these chain of fireworks, which is going to mean I don't have to go chase down all of those mobs. They're still going. So if you don't get any of the other weapons, I definitely at least recommend getting the shield, because it is just going to make your life easy no matter where you are playing. You can also get this fully loaded jelly there with the self-replicating, and the grenades teleport to their destination. This so far has been my favorite grenade in the game, and that's also because of the build that I'm using with Eamon. Every time I throw a grenade, I deal more damage, and having the 5 charges is pretty phenomenal. The next weapon I highly recommend getting is one of the Looming Dullahans. You can get this pretty much in any variation. I was running with a green one for a while, and it was just as amazing. You're using this for the alt fire mode. This has a spread launcher on it that fires a spread of grenades that deal 5,652 times 5 damage each, which absolutely melts just about anything. Now, just to show how much damage this can do, we'll use it on this guy right here, and you can see just how much it absolutely kills things. That alt-fire mode, it does have a cooldown, but it's pretty quick. Now, the best thing about this shotgun is it is going to drop eventually from one of these bosses. It might not always be purple quality. We got a Dolahan here, but we didn't get the right attachment. We are looking for the alt-fire spread launcher attachment. Now, even if you don't get it as purple, keep an eye out for like blues or green versions of it, because it's going to be just as powerful, because you're really using it for the alt-fire mode more than anything else. Now, to boost the damage of this even further, if you have one of the rep kits that boost your damage, you can get ones that boost your damage by 200%. You can pop your rep kit and then shoot with the alt-fire shotgun, just doing a devastating amount of damage. Now for my favorite part of the build, space lasers. Who doesn't love space lasers? This is by far my favorite weapon that I've found so far in Borderlands 4, and good lord, is it incredibly OP. You can pretty much one-shot every boss in the game with it, unless of course they walk out of it. But even if you don't one-shot them with it, you can just use it again a couple seconds later. This is the Oscar Mike. It has the alt-fire for space lasers, which calls down a space laser dealing 2,834 damage every 0.2 seconds. And there's a lot of those lasers. Now, thankfully, the drop rate for this seems to be pretty high. I've farmed this up pretty much my entire playthrough, and I've always made sure to have one near my level. And this is farmed up from the Gen 1 boss, which is just south of the makeshift chalet. Now, to be able to unlock this hidden boss, you're going to need to travel up north, just above Moxie's Bottoms Up. There's going to be an NPC right about here that is going to give you a quest called Fault Hunting. This quest will eventually lead you back down south, where you'll have the Gen 1 boss ready to farm up. Now, when you go to farm this up, you can get different versions of it. You are looking for the one with the space laser alt fire. You can get one with grenade, and I think there's another one too, but I've only ever not gotten the space laser attachment one time. But if you get really lucky, you can get the space laser tactical rounds and the Jacob's license accessory, which means your critical hits will now ricochet. This is definitely the best version you could find, because not only is it incredibly powered with the space lasers, but it's a really good assault rifle too. Now, the best way to use this gun is if you're not playing Aimon, you're definitely going to want one of these rep kits to boost the damage by 200%. I don't have one right now because I just don't really need it for my build. But if you are using Aimon, there's a really fun build here that you can use. You can boost your incendiary damage, so you get 30% from here. And then if you go down to Dragon's Breath, so whenever Aimon activates his ordnance, which is your grenade, his next gunshot is converted to incendiary damage, and you gain an extra 100% damage. And since I'm often using this pretty close, I also spec'd into the Fray, which is another 25% damage and a 50% damage reduction. So essentially what you would need to be doing is right before you use your space lasers, you're going to go ahead and switch to it. And you're either going to like use your rep kit, or if you're playing Aimon, you're going to throw a grenade, and then you can just drop your bombs on anything and just completely destroy them. And I'm sure there is plenty of other ways to also boost the damage of these space lasers for other classes, so feel free if you have any tips to leave them in the comments below. And hopefully I'll see you all in the next one.